And Are You Okay is a not safe for work podcast, so any young listeners are discouraged from continuing. However, we literally have no way to track that, so do whatever the hell you want and enjoy the show.
Look, because I was gonna die in here.
I'd be like, Matt, are you okay?
Yeah, I'd have been in here just fucking slumped on the mic.
In my best Darth Vader impression, where is Matt? Is he okay? Is he all right?
In your quest for good content, he turned off his air. No.
Yeah, auto-tuned no.
Yeah, no.
Oh, man.
I don't know why, but I randomly, as one does, got high yesterday, and I was just like, I feel like watching Clone Wars, like episode 2. And I was watching episode. And I was watching episode.
Whoa! Attack of the Clones. Come on, buddy.
You're right.
It's easy to get it mixed up, but
you're right. Attack of the Clone Wars. Something. Dark Side.
Yeah.
But I was watching episode 2. And a certain scene, I'll get into a real talk, like made me kind of look at the prophecy a different way.
Okay.
I'm kind of shooting some Jedi some bail on how much of a fuck show that went.
It is good to be back again with Maddie Porter, my friend, the Mace Windu dude. I am your co-host, the human holocron who has been demoted because I know nothing about the High Republic other than what I have.
Darth Plagueis the somewhat knowledgeable.
Yeah, I can no longer be wise. This is new uncharted territory for me, but I am super excited to be back.
Darth Plagueis the uninformed. That's what you are. Name of this episode.
That's okay because you are, and without a doubt, no matter what we're covering, always the Rogue One, the Rogue Only.
Check that, baby. Smack Talker Skywalker, fresh off my 9 to 5. Time to hit that hyperdrive. Punch it, Chewie.
Oh, and before we dive in, I'm glad we introduced ourselves. We have a upcoming coverage tease. We've took a mini hiatus. We have said that we're not going to go away for too long, and that remains true. We have not gone away for that long, but we needed to recharge. We had to celebrate our good friend Travis.
And there was a bit of a lapse in content between Bad Batch and Rise of the Empire. So yeah. And shout out to Trav, co-host on DB4L, Bachelor Party.
Yeah, he had his Bachelor Party. I could not attend, but I know that all of our teammates that were there had a grand time.
Your Force Ghost was there.
I was sending all of my energy to you guys that I had left. So I'm glad you guys created that spirit bomb of good times and fun. But we're here to talk Star Wars, and we're here to talk the Acolyte. I just want to tease this because it's not going away. We want to talk about Tales of the Empire. Ray the Ruiner was very excited to talk about it, and unfortunately she was pretty under the weather for a couple weeks in that hiatus, which is really kind of part of the reason things got pushed off. And then I'm just going to be completely honest with you, I was burnt the fuck out, and who has not been burnt the fuck out in this work from home atmosphere?
But what do we do, Mike?
We strike back.
And we motherfucking rally.
So I'm really excited to talk about this. We're going to do the episode description where I try to get everything in one breath. And then also in the middle of our coverage of episodes 1 and 2 of The Acolyte, we have a real talk with Rogue One that I'm very excited to hear about.
Smack Talker Skywalker returns.
Oh, he's got something for you. And then we'll cover off on our Easter eggs and such. But before we dive in, going to drop a spoiler warning. I don't know what we could possibly be spoiling, but it tends to come up from time to time when we make comparisons to other things in our favorite canon. So I just want to throw that there, and we can kind of like, I guess, is this the time? Are we hyper diving in? I forgot to do my song.
I'm ready. Oh yeah, we got to do the song, bro. Do it. Go ahead. One time for the fans.
Right in. Sit right down. Mikey's gonna show you the moon.
A crescent.
That's no moon. It's a Death Star. And
Stardust.
It's about 200 years too late. High Republic is where we're at now. I ran out of things to say.
I watched this in a High Republic state of mind.
I love that.
High Republic state of mind. Name of this episode:
High Republic state of mind. I think I can get down with that. I've watched these episodes 3 times in preparation for today. Oh, I guess, I just want to shout out a couple of other, content creators I saw at the advanced screening for Fandango. Matt could not be there to join me, but it was great seeing Star Wars. Jet lag is a bitch. And so I met some people, dads who are also content creators of other content creators in the Star Wars space. Star Wars Geek Girl, haven't had a chance to connect with them, but additionally met my man Casey, he's pretty big on TikTok, and we're hoping to maybe do some collabs with him. So just it was great to see them. If they happen to tune in listening to this, I just want them to know that it felt good to talk Star Wars with some friends, and we'd love to talk Star Wars with you. So if you also happen to be listening to this and are a content creator, feel free to reach out. I think we're always just down and willing to bring more people into our Annie, Are You Okay family, a Star Wars podcast. I'm just kind of realizing that we didn't introduce the show, but hey, that's just kind of how it goes sometimes here. So we get there eventually.
We get there eventually.
We do get there eventually. Without further ado, why don't we hyper dive right in? All right, so we're doing Lost and Found first. I'm ready. Hold on, I gotta. Let me take a deep breath. This is a long one.
Yeah, bless your heart.
May, an assassin sent by a Dark Master, confronts and eventually kills Jedi Master Indara on the planet of Ueda. May's twin Osha awakens on a Trade Federation freighter where she works as a mechanic. Her daily task results in a small explosion where flames invoke a dark memory. Suddenly, Osha is interrupted by a Jedi vessel on approach to where she is stationed. A friendly reunion cut short. Osha finds out that her old friend from her days training as Jedi, Yord, and his Padawan have come to take her into custody for killing Master Indara. Osha is taken into custody aboard a Republic prison transport to be sent to Coruscant. Meanwhile, Osha's Master Soul finishes up a lesson he's teaching for several younglings when Master Vanestra Rho informs him of Osha's suspected role in Indara's murder. When it is discovered that the prison transport crash-landed on Karlak and a prisoner divulges that he betrayed Osha, leaving her in the wreckage, Master Soul requests permission to bring her in. He sets off with his new Padawan, Jeki, and Yord, who feels he failed by not bringing her in personally. Osha has a force vision that convinced her May lives, and when seeing an approaching vessel, flees what she believes is safety. The vessel carrying Soul, Jeki, and Yord lands close enough for them to track her down before they confront Osha at the edge of a cliff, where Osha puts her trust in her old master and her thought to be dead sister lives, and is the one responsible for seeking revenge against the Jedi. The episode reaches its close as we see May approach a dark figure who states, "The Jedi live in a dream they believe everyone shares. If you attack a Jedi with a weapon, you will fail. Steel or laser are no threat to them, but an Acolyte kills without a weapon. An Acolyte kills the dream," before igniting a lightsaber and ending the first episode. Damn, dude, it was good. It was good off the rip. I was super hyped. I can't wait to hear what your thoughts are about it. I need to take a breath, so hit me, buddy.
You see Paul just text us. Look at what a time.
As our producer from our other podcast texts us, Trinity cannot die from one knife. We'll talk about it.
Look at the timing. Look at the timing on that.
That was pretty apropos. I'm sure he'll be excited to hear that he made it onto the episode.
right when you finish the summary, I had that too. Oh man, yeah. Where to start? Shit. You know what? I know where I will start. To kind of go out of order as we typically do, but to keep it in episode 1, I will say I was extremely appreciative. Yes, I said it right. I was extremely appreciative. Appreciative. Yes, I added extra syllable. I was very happy that they didn't keep the whole, oh shit, it's her twin, but we don't believe her. We think it's you. I'm very happy that didn't drag out, because I had a fear that they weren't gonna like do the twin reveal until like a couple episodes. I thought that they were gonna play it a lot like, oh, it's real ambiguous that Osha might be the killer, but she's like playing like, oh, I didn't do anything. What do you mean? I've been here the whole time. But I like how they snuffed that out within the first episode, that it was kind of referenced, and they kind of gave little clues here and there, like when she was trying to escape the ship as it was crashing, and she couldn't force pull the her little toy pit toy over to her. So I will say that I was very happy about that, because I thought that was gonna kind of be the mystery, because they've been referencing that this is kind of going to be like a detective style-esque Star Wars show, and we had our theories when we did the trailer breakdown, me, you, and shout out to Yali, all caps, and I was referencing that I felt like possibly Trinity might be the bad guy who faked her death, and she might be like the not Sith that we saw. I mean, which still could maybe be a thing, doubtful, but possible. But I thought that like who was murdering the Jedi was going to be the big mystery. And then when you see in the first couple minutes, and then when you see that it was now knowing May, when you see May kill, I almost called her Trinity. When you see May kill Carrie Ann Moss's character in the beginning, it's like, oh, okay, so she's definitely the murderer. And then they cut to Osha, and you can see like the hair is different. They purposely have the bang covering so you can't really see if the scar, the markings are in the same spot. But again, not to circle the same point over and over again, but I feel like they could have very easily, low-hanging fruit, just had that be like a 3-episode mystery. Like, oh, is she the murderer? Is she just faking like it's not her? And then something would have happened where, that one character who knew it was her the whole time was like, I knew it, when it is revealed that she is the killer and stuff like that. So I was happy that was put out in the forefront, that no, Osha isn't the killer. It's her twin sister. I will kind of say, I'm kind of sick of the twin shit, like just a bit. Like it
is a Star Wars trope, but yeah, I hear you. It doesn't bother me, but I can see how people would be kind of like, okay, we've seen this before.
And not so much even Star Wars particularly. I'm kind of sick of the evil twin shtick. Period. Like just across the board. I will say though, how they're presenting it, not to get into episode 2 before we get there, I do like the dynamic, because in most shows when you have an evil twin, you don't find out it's an evil twin until like later in the series. Like they leave it ambiguous, like, oh, this person could have been there, or they'll drop little hints, this, that, and the third, like maybe a hairstyle is a bit different than it was the day before, or like they're wearing different shoes. So like I'm not totally put off by it, like how they're doing it, how they're playing out the whole twin aspect thing of it. But yeah, I'm happy that they revealed that early on. The action sequences, we talked about it in the trailer, are fantastic. We've talked about before in private and in public, you often forget that Jedi are actually skilled hand-to-hand combat fighters as well, because in the Skywalker saga you primarily only ever see them use lightsabers. Obi-Wan threw a couple punches and kicks in episode 2 against Django. Obviously, Django. Yeah, Django. I just started thinking of Django Unchained, and it made me think I got the name wrong. Well, we're here. Django Fett.
No, you got it. He did try to kick Grievous that one time, so it didn't work out well for him, but he did do that. And then in Battle of the Heroes, Anakin was kicking and punching the shit out of Obi-Wan like for that whole fight, but Obi-Wan wasn't swinging back. So seeing Jedi actually not resort pulling out their lightsabers, not their first go-to. Some of the Jedi are, but not what's the guy with the dreads? York, so, I think was his name. Yord, who's a newly knighted, like he just, I guess he said his trials he passed 2 years prior to the events of the episode.
He's real quick. He's real quick to grab the lightsaber.
He's quick to do it. But to your point, Indara and Soul, who Soul hasn't even like brandish his lightsaber yet, right? So
right,
and Andara did it as a last defense, I think, mechanism is how it felt, and it was like it was intentional, and there's a reason why I think the masters are late to draw their sword, and it's really specifically probably because of the experiences they've had, and then also the High Republic era, just having it be something where it's like, because it's a different time, and the Jedi are still, I think, much more proud, disciplined, and not as dogmatic. I know that we're going to be seeing probably a lot of what the prequel Jedi become, but it's still technically in this like other era of Star Wars that they're like kind of making it more of a seasoned, and I mean, it's kind of like Yoda in a way, right? Like Yoda only draws his saber when he like really needs to. Otherwise, he's, you know, stoic or uses the Force to kind of like
Force pushing the shit out of everybody.
But yeah, that was a good call out. I will say, I wanted it to be a murder mystery. So I think that's why that's the only thing I was quote unquote disappointed by. I can't say that I'm actually mad at the show. I think they're doing a really good job of telling the story that they're intending to. It's just the mystery I thought was going to be a little more centered around who is murdering Jedi. And I thought that like the trailer stuff was more of a red herring, and that it was meant to pull us off of what we thought was actually going to be the thing that was killing the Jedi, if I'm completely honest. So the show is technically kind of like as advertised. And the other thing is like we have seen scenes. There's been a lot of promotional material that's come out for this. I will give Disney their credit. They've actually done a really good job of marketing this show, which I feel like they haven't quite done for some of the other things. I feel like even Mando doesn't get as much coverage as this has gotten. But I feel like they're doing the smart thing and keeping a lot of the footage to like the first few episodes so that we don't really know what's coming in the back half.
Yeah, like with the commercials and everything, I'll agree with that because, like I said, I assumed it was going to be a whodunit, and I kind of do. I hope they hold on to that. Like they do like a whodunit style Star Wars story. That was a lot of alliteration to get. I'm surprised I got through that sentence. I'm not even going to try to go back and say that again. But yeah, I feel like that would be a really dope concept to do, like a murder mystery Star Wars thing. But I like that there is still the mystery element of A, we obviously don't know who the shrouded figure is, and B, it seems that a lot of what's going on is a cause and effect of what happened 10 years ago. And I'm curious, do you think that from the takeaways, the cues from 1 and 2, do you think that they've given enough that you can kind of formulate what you think happened 10 years ago as to why May wants these 4 particular Jedi dead?
Yeah, so I think that there's something. I think the Jedi started the fire, and it wasn't that May started the fire. And the only reason I think that is because of something that happens in the next episode, and we'll talk about it. But it's really Tobin's sacrifice him taking the poison in the next episode is really what made me feel that is the shame that they've carried with them. Is
Jedi Master Tobin, who was in episode 2, and we'll get there when we get there. When we were breaking down the the trailer, and you do see like a younger version. I think it's a younger version of Tobin that is possessed and has like the black. That it was him. Okay, cool.
Correct.
I thought that was him. All right, bet. But yeah, I think the same. I don't know if I necessarily think that the Jedi like started the fire, or if the fire is even the cause of everything. But I do think that the Jedi were the antagonists to whatever kerfuffle happened that's made that fire happen on their homeworld that like killed everybody. Because the couple
like as in like they're the one who instigated the fight that created the fire.
Yes, exactly. Because like at the first fight between Carrie-Anne Moss's character, what was the Jedi's name? Oh, you know I'm terrible with names. May's just easy to remember.
Andara.
Indara, Jedi Master Indara and May when they fought. When May was saying, like, come at me with all your might and everything in this and the third, and Carrie Ann Moss's character, totally paraphrasing, Indara had said something along the lines of basically saying like Jedi don't pull their weapons first or some shit like that. It's something along those lines.
Yeah, or something along the lines of like, Indara says that. I'm sorry, but then later,
Indara said like, oh yeah, Jedis don't pull their weapons first. Something like, and May was like, yeah, the fuck
yes,
y'all
they do.
Right.
Right. And then on top of that, when she does draw her lightsaber later, May in that fight says Jedi only like draws their lightsaber if they're prepared to kill.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I think that whatever peacekeeping, and I'm bunny quoting for the people that aren't looking at us because this is an audio podcast. Whatever peacekeeping mission that they were on that led them to May's home world, I believe that they either instigated or were the direct antagonistic force behind whatever conflict happened that started the fire that killed their whole village and family and whatnot, what have you.
The Jedi started the fire.
Jedi started that name of this episode. whenever they do the reveal for what happens, that has to be the name of that episode for the reveal.
Oh, 1,000%.
Jedi started the fire. I love it. But I'm trying to think of what else.
Well, let's actually talk about fire. Sorry, just as symbolism, because I think it's what triggered Osha's reconnection to the Force, because she has clearly been disconnected.
Yeah, when she was putting the fire out on the ship.
Yes.
Big
facts. Also, a lot of discourse around the fucking fire in space. A lot of people who are like, that can't happen. Dog, we hear sound in space. What are you talking about? We're not playing with our laws of physics. Yeah.
All right, I'm about to say the Slave One literally has sonic propulsion, like
sonic booms in space. Yeah,
it's a thing, bro.
Also, I did not point this out, and whoever did it is amazing for it. But like, they would make the person who's responsible for fixing problems on a ship named after the real life like organization that's responsible for making sure there's work safety in OSHA, which I think is just fucking hilarious.
That's definitely 1,000% a good catch. I didn't even think about that till just now.
Like, if that's how Leslie Headland ended up naming OSHA, that's fucking incredible. But yeah, you were about to make a point before I rudely cut you off, so go ahead, Betty.
No, you're good, bro. What was I saying? Oh, I was gonna start to go on to like other parts in the episode that I had liked, but I was gonna say episodes 1 and 2 flowed so well together that I'm blending what happened in which episode. So I'm trying to they really did run together well. The way 2 connects to 1 is very seamless, especially with the fact that like they're still on Karlak at the beginning of 2, where it's like, and don't get me wrong, well, we're still going to do I'm still going to do my long-winded not breakdown, but description of what happened in the episode. But it feels like it was almost like shot intentionally, and then they picked points to cut things off, and maybe had decided to slide in some like shots at the end to tease the next episode, which is, I mean, that's kind of what you want out of a show today. If someone's coming to the series later, they're going to want to binge it, right? And how do you not want to watch the next episode after seeing the Sith or dark side user like ignite his lightsaber and then the Wookiee thing at the end of the other episode? I was just going to say with that, I hope that that's kind of like a reoccurring motif. I love how they like end the episodes on like an action beat. I don't think I've ever really like seen a show do that, or if they have, I can't think of one. And like top of my, maybe Game of Thrones, like sometimes, but I really like how like whatever like the apex of that scene is, they like ended there, and I kind of thought that shit was like groovy, like like the igniting of the lightsaber, or like the Wookiee Jedi like slamming the door shut after he force pulled the gun and shit like that. So I hope that's kind of like a reoccurring thing, that is just like it's like a action beat that ends the episode. I thought that was really cool.
I guess we'll see next week. I'm hoping the motif continues as well. It definitely works for me. Got me very excited to not just go from one episode to the next, but now that we're waiting a week in between episodes, I'm kind of like itching to see what's coming.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about some of these characters real quick.
I was just gonna say, my fault. The delay didn't stop. I was just gonna say real fast. Especially coming from Bad Batch, where there were a couple times where it ended, and we both were like, "Was that the end?" It's like with this show, it's just like ending. It's like, "Oh shit, okay, I get it."
Yeah. No, very different in that sense, and you're right. It was almost like there were episodes in Bad Batch designed, it felt like, to run together that they ended up breaking up for, I guess like scheduling sake. But let's talk about some of the other Jedi. We haven't really talked much about Yord, Jeki, or Sol yet. Let's start with Yord. He is quick to draw his lightsaber, and he's very much like by the book. I feel like this type of character is necessary for the show when you have so many. I feel like a lot of Jedi Masters have been present in the show, so it's good to see a younger knight who is eager for. He kind of reminds me of Episode 1 Obi-Wan. You know how like Obi was very ready for like a fight, but like is still, the Jedi that we remember as being very much the Jedi of all Jedi. But he's brash, he's in his younger days, he's looking for action and excitement, and there's like that element to his character, and I feel like Yord very much strikes similar chords to that. And in a lot of ways, I'm excited to see where his character goes, because I feel like there's a lot you can see him learn throughout this journey, in addition to what we're going to see like Osha and May go through, because obviously they're the focal point, being like the main characters that are co-tagonists, if you will. Because we really truly are following like their story specifically. But I think that there's going to be a lot that we can learn from Yord. And while Jeki is like the new Padawan of Sol, she strikes me as a very much like a capable Ahsoka type character who is willing and able to call out the other Jedi when she feels like it's her time to speak up or she has something to say. And I feel like it helps ground everything else. So those two together, and their banter back and forth, is also very entertaining. I'm not going to lie. I'm excited to see where that goes. But do you feel that there's anything I kind of like missed on those two? If is there anything specific you want to bring up about Yord or Jeki that you really enjoyed?
So you know what's funny about Jeki? I didn't realize that was Daphne Keene until the second episode. I was literally like, she's supposed to be in the show. Where is she? I was literally like, oh, where is she at? And I was like, oh shit, there she is. Like the makeup is great. I love it. She did a really good job. I enjoy. She has. I'm trying to think of like the verbiage to use here, because like if you've ever watched His Dark Materials, where she was the lead in that show, which is the TV version of Golden Compass, amazing show on HBO Max. We don't get paid for these ads, but we should. Or even her as shit. What was her name in
X-23?
Yeah, I was trying to think of her real name. I knew her mutant designation. She has like a very like. What's the word I'm looking for? It's like it's a stoicism, but it's very expressionate. Like it's just like
it's like a matter of factness, but like
it's like she kind of like
not a word, but
you know what it is? It's like her default face is like very deadpan, but her eyes are like very piercing. So it's it's like she doesn't give you anything, but a lot at the same time. And it's just like, it like really like anytime she's on the screen, I feel like she just commands attention. It's just like, she just like her presence is very big. And I like, that's some shit that can't be taught. Like you either got it or you don't. So it's like, I like to credit. But with Yord, he kind of gives me the type of character who has put all of his faith and trust in the order that leaves him susceptible to like betray the Jedi if they let him down. Like he gave me a lot of like Dooku-esque vibes, like especially when Sol came back and was just like, yo, we're about to go, we're bringing her with us, and they was just like, we're bringing the prisoner, and he was like, the Jedi agree with me, and he looked kind of put out. about that, because he was just like, oh, this isn't protocol, like this isn't what we're supposed to do, I don't think you should leave her unhandcuffed. Like, he was like very by the book, and like you said, he just passed his trials 2 years ago, so he's like drinking the Kool-Aid. I would not be surprised. I'm kind of on the fence, because like in episode 2, when he did stick up for Osha, when he was just like, oh, I was telling her the whole time, she didn't do it, I was just like, oh, okay, cool. This guy knows how to be a team player. But just something about how by the book he is, it gave me like Dooku from Tales of the Jedi vibes. Like, oh yeah, I've been fine. Like, I feel like that's the type of character that is, like I said, open to be let down by the rules that he's been following, to the point that he will like defect. Like, oh, like following the rules.
I'm gonna take that exact argument and put it, unfortunately, in a different direction, where I think that he might trust the order regardless of how he feels about it, and that means he's going to follow what the masters say to a fault, that I think it could result in him, unfortunately, like losing his life by the end of the story. Because I don't know if Acolyte is meant to be more than one season. If it is one contained story, my feeling is, and I'm not obviously wishing death on any of these characters, we just met them, I really want to get to know them more. But I do think that we're going to lose a few Jedi along the way. And I really think it would be heartbreaking, and kind of like it would say something about the Jedi as a whole, of sticking to the code and not trusting your instincts might be detrimental to your life. And I think what you said tracks. We might be in for something like that. But I think we could also go the same way, but have a different ending, in terms of him eventually like losing his life throughout this story, which I think is unfortunate, but would be a pretty good story to tell, I think, in this time period.
Yeah, for sure. Because like, if we're going down the path of Jedis being kind of prickish in their High Republic Empire era, and with whoever this Dark Master is, and I'm almost positive, correct me if I'm wrong, in one of the sizzle reels, the teaser trailers, I feel like there was like a voiceover part where I think it was probably May, Amanda Sterling's, one of her characters that she's playing. And I feel like there was a line in there basically kind of along the lines of like, oh, who are the Jedi to say that only they can use this power? Or something along those lines. I kind of remember basically like her saying like, oh, anyone should be able to use the Force. Like, it shouldn't just be relegated to Jedi. I have to go back and watch, but I'm almost positive that was like a voiceover part in the trailer. And I could see something along the lines of like, maybe on a mission, whether it's Yord has a conversation with May, or May's poison maker friend, or maybe a different follower, where they're kind of like, hey, you've been following the rules this whole time, and look where it got you. Like nothing. Like, we do what we want to do. Like, we like,
classic Sith, like, turning technique. Exactly. Yeah, I hear you.
yeah. Like, because it's like, I don't know. Like, there was just something for me very significant about that, those couple minutes after they captured Osha. Because it's like, they captured Osha. It was by the book ish, like, but just from that moment that they didn't put the cuffs on her to just letting her kind of walk freely, like, Yord just looked really put out, and he just like kept kind of being like, hey, this isn't a good idea, this isn't what we be doing, she should be in chains, we should go take the prisoner. And then even after, Soul got confirmation that they believed that, oh yeah, May is alive, this is the twin, a girl matching May, Osha's description was seen on this planet. Even after Soul delivered that news, Yord was still like, I don't agree with this. And Soul was like, no, the Jedi agree with me. And he just looked very like, what the fuck? Like, this isn't what we're about. Like, we were given a mission. Why aren't we doing the mission? Like, he just seems like really locked in. Like I said, I could see it. I like your take too, that he could like buy the book himself to death. I could definitely see that. But
well, and it's because he's like, he voices his frustration, but never to a point where he's like, I'm not going to go along with this plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's going to be like,
it seems like it's festering. Like, and again, it could just be because, like I said, come episode 2, he seemed more part of the band. Like, okay, all right, this is what there's a bigger plot afoot. We need to figure out what's going on. He seemed like more like, all right, so you know what you're doing. I trust your judgment. Like I said, it legit could have just been a facial tick that caught my attention. That I might be reading too much into it, but again, it just reminded me a lot of the Tales of the Jedi episode with Dooku and Qui-Gon, where they were helping the farmers and stuff like that, but they were like following the rules and shit went left, and then Dooku was just like following the rules, got these people fucked up. Maybe the Jedi Order isn't the best way to go about things. And Yord gives me that he gives me that vibe that like some following the rules is gonna like cost him something, and then he's gonna be like,
I think if we both had to put money down and we had to like stop it somewhere where we both felt like we could win something, it would be that yes, his reliance or faith in the Order is going to cost him something. We don't know somehow, what yet. We don't. Somehow.
It's gonna fuck him up some way, shape, or form for sure.
But it's coming. Speaking of Qui-Gon, and I don't think that he's necessarily like a similar character because Qui-Gon was a little bit more of a maverick than Sol is, but his compassion reminds me a lot of Qui-Gon, where it's like. He moves through the Force the way Qui-Gon does in terms of he allows his judgment to see the bright side of every situation, I think. And he trusts Osha regardless of, you know, the accusations against her. Like he definitely felt like in his gut his instincts were telling him that she was innocent. And it was cool to see just I guess maybe part of it is it's like the time we spend with masters in like Star Wars usually is cut short. They're not typically the focal point. We got a few episodes of Clone Wars. True. But I think it's like,
but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of like, Obi-Wan's really the only one we spent that much time with. But he's like acting as like a master in this sense to, you know, Jeki and Osha and the way he is even communing with the other Jedi feels like there's a lot of respect thrown his way. So I'm kind of excited to see like what if the fire that the Jedi caused, you know, pushed these four Jedi into positions of power almost where they were like, you know, it was good for them ultimately, but like in reality, it was the wrong thing to do.
Like maybe that mission was what like helped them, like rise in the ranks of the Order.
Exactly.
Whatever that mission was supposed to be. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot, actually. That'd be dope.
How did you feel about Sol before we kind of hit this second episode description?
I like his character a lot. A part that I really liked was when he was looking at the hologram of Osha and Jeki came in and he was like, "Wow,
fantastic
pictures of your old Padawans." And he was like, the past is a lesson. Like if we don't learn from it, like we're doomed to repeat it. As opposed to leaning into like the sentimental value of it all and whatnot. I really like that a lot. Man, he's such a good actor. It just is like for English to obviously not be his first language, every time he speaks, it's just powerful. Like every
there's gravity,
that he says,
100%.
Yeah, like every line of dialogue that he has in both episodes is like he speaks with intent, like with purpose. It's just like he forces you to like listen to what he's saying, and it's just like I enjoyed it. Yeah, I like him a lot. He has quickly implanted himself into like a Jedi that I fuck with hard. Like he's dope, and I can't wait to like watch him ignite his lightsaber. Have we seen him ignite a lightsaber like in the trailers? Like has he?
Yeah, so he has a blue saber. So we will see him. Question. Yeah, we will see him pull it out at some point. Not sure when. Maybe the next episode. But yeah, I'm excited to kind of see. I mean, I know you already brought it up, but just the fight choreography. Like, if we think the hand-to-hand stuff is good, I can't imagine what type of lightsaber combat we're in for. I feel like it's going to be really, really good.
No, I'm super excited, and there's something about Sol's disposition where I can't necessarily put my finger on it, but it does seem like extremely unique from like other Jedis. It's like I feel like he kind of embodies like live and let live. Like even like the scene with him and Osha where they were talking about the tattoo and he was just like, she was like, you hate it, don't you? And he's like, it doesn't matter what I think. Like,
yeah,
he's just like, it's not my body.
It's kind of like optimism laced with the weight of burden. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where
I like that.
Like he definitely has a positive outlook on things, but he always is walking around as if he's carrying the weight of the universe on his shoulders.
Yeah, like to add to that, it's like he even like within people who are like a part of the order or were a part of the order, he's like, hey, I know what I get out of being a Jedi. I know what my morals are and my standards and how I try to be the best Jedi. Like, but if you don't do what I do, that doesn't make you less of a Jedi. And I feel like I feel like most Jedis don't do that. It's like, oh, do as I say, not as I do. It's typically like the kind of like the Jedi credo. I feel like most, especially like Jedi masters like Mace Windu or Plo Koon and things like that. They're very much like militant. Like, no, there's no gray area of being a Jedi to those people. I feel like without his relationship to Anakin, Obi-Wan was like that too. But like having an apprentice that did his own thing kind of did rub off on Obi-Wan a bit. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, but for the most part, you know, Obi-Wan was, I won't say by the book, but he had the book. He had it. He held on to it. He had it in his hand.
Tightly. You know, he held on to that shit like with his life. But he was required to be flexible by the circumstances of his teaching.
Exactly. But I feel like with Soul, he like is very much by the book, but doesn't care if you're not. Or if you like, he doesn't care if you question the book. Like I feel like he feels like the book is meant to be questioned. Like that's kind of part of it, like a little bit. Like just saying that they're like, he doesn't treat being a Jedi as like one size fits all. Like, you know, like the path to enlightenment doesn't have one road. Like it's like how you get there, how you get there. Everybody gets something different out of it. And I feel like just like the way that he talks to Yord and the way that he talked with Osha, it was very much like, hey, like we know that Jedi have very strict beliefs and principles, and I follow them the way that I choose to do it, and you do what you want to do. Like, and that's fine. Like, and I thought that was like very refreshing and a very different take. Because, like I said, we've seen the Dooku's and the Qui-Gons and the Anakins and the Ahsokas who are more along the lines of like, yeah, y'all be fucking up. Like, the Jedi way isn't always the best way. Sometimes the not Jedi way is the better way. Like they're very much that. Where Soul is just like, yeah, no, the Jedi way is the way that I choose to live. But if you choose to not, I get it. Like, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think he has that like nuance to him where obviously what he does on a daily basis is for sure along the lines of the Jedi code, but he's not imposing it on everybody else. He's trying. Even in his teaching to the younglings, he's very much like he supports what they're seeing, right? Like
when the one saw the fire, I thought he was about to shut that shit down.
Like, the force is very powerful.
Fire. Yeah,
right. He's like, just like the ocean is very powerful, you know, fire, water, dark, light, kind of like how you know, these twin episodes. Fucking Lost and Found, Revenge and Justice. You know, they're all tied into things here. So, you know, Matt, we are ready to, I think, dive into episode 2 here. But before we do, we have our new segment, which it's not every episode, but when it happens, it's gonna happen. We're ready for some real talk with Rogue One.
Hit that sounder, boy. But so watching Acolyte, there are, I won't even call them undertones. There are overtones of a story that might play out with a master that failed their apprentice, with May and Carrie Ann Moss's character obviously having their communication, and you could tell. you know, real quick before I get into real talk with one, because it kind of feeds to my point. Another thing that I really liked about the combination of episodes 1 and 2, because we've said all the time, like, I love when shows allow us to flex our intelligence. Like, don't hand feed us everything. I really liked how, without blatantly saying it or over explaining it, how they do and did format how between Soul, Carrie-Anne Moss's character, Osha, and May, there was some type of familial bond between them. Like, you know, like in that initial fight in episode 1, like, I feel like Carrie-Anne Moss's character, like when she saw the, you know, the scar, she was like, "It's you." She was like, "What are you doing?" Like, she was just like, there was like a familiar thing. And then when Soul and Osha reunited, even though they didn't hug, like, you could tell there was like, they were happy to see each other. And, you know, like, and Soul was just like, "I believe that, I know you didn't do it."
He even says Osha viewed me and Endara as her protectors.
Yes, sir. Exactly. So with that, going back to my real talk with Rogue One with Masters in disappointing their apprentices or them having a falling out, if for some reason it just made me want to watch Attack of the Clones. So I watched a couple of different things that brought me to my real talk. So I watched Attack of the Clones. I watched Battle of the Heroes, Obi-Wan versus Anakin from episode 3, and then I watched their rematch from the Obi-Wan series, Vader versus Obi-Wan, the rematch.
Man, you went on a little binge. I love this.
Yeah. Because something from episode 2 kind of like set off like the, oh shit. So my real talk on Rogue One is I want to I want to shoot some bail to Anakin and Obi-Wan. I want to shoot them some bail because of what the prophecy did to them. And I feel like that point is understated a lot as to like the extreme weight that was over those two men for all of the Skywalker series pre the sequel trilogy that would have led to what happened. So what I mean by that is, I'll start with Obi-Wan. Here's a Jedi who lost his master, had no intentions on training Anakin, literally called him a waste of space, like, said that he was a useless life form, didn't want to trade him, agreed with the order that he was too old to be a Jedi, he was a flight risk and dangerous, but, you know, Qui-Gon dies and he made a promise to him, and so he thrusted himself into that mentor role for a kid that he had no emotional attachment to, and through that they formed a relationship and a bond. But here's where the bail that I want to shoot for Obi-Wan comes from. I feel like it's extremely understated the pressure that Obi-Wan must have felt as a young Jedi who was forced into becoming a master, or before, even though Qui-Gon said you're ready for the trials and Obi-Wan agreed, it probably did happen a bit sooner than what it would have had Qui-Gon not died. And you're literally making this man responsible for training the chosen one. And you're telling him, hey, your Padawan is going to bring balance to the Force. Don't fuck this up. And it's just like, I can only imagine the weight and responsibility and like why Obi-Wan was so anal and militant and overbearing and helicopter parenting to Anakin through all of his formative years. Because it's just like, bro, that's a lot of pressure. Because Obi-Wan has to be thinking like, yo, if I fuck up his training, he's not going to save the galaxy. Like, and it's on me. Like, it's on me to make this kid a Jedi and make him into the chosen. It's on me to help him fulfill the prophecy. And I feel like that was a big mental mindfuck for somebody like Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I feel like a lot of that pain came out in their rematch in the Kenobi series when they have that conversation after he slices Vader's helmet off, and he's just like, Anakin, he's like, yo, I'm sorry for all of it, bro. And like that scene hit me back then, but watching it now with like my different lens of like the damage the prophecy really did to these two guys' psyche, him saying like, yo, I'm sorry for all of it, is like him saying like, yo, like, I wasn't ready to be your teacher, bro. Like, this wasn't something that I asked for. It was thrust upon me. It was something that I felt responsible for out of loyalty to my master. It was a big undertaking. You were not the easiest person to keep in line, you know? And then it's just like, you're also asking me to keep in check somebody that I know is vastly better than me. Like, but I have to like keep him at a level of humbleness to not let his skill overtake my teaching, which is a lot that we would have to deal with. So it's just like, I want to shoot Obi-Wan that bail for, you know, his quote unquote failure of Anakin turning into Darth Vader, because like, that's a crazy position to put anybody in. So the bail that I want to shoot the Anakin Skywalker with the prophecy, my understanding of a prophecy is that it's a preordained thing that's meant to happen anyway. Was it absolutely necessary to tell Anakin that he was the chosen one from the rip? Because that's a crazy amount of pressure to put on a child. Hey, kid, you're responsible for saving the fucking universe. Don't fuck this up. And then so the part on Clone Wars, I'm sorry, not Clone Wars, the part in Attack of the Clones that really fucked me up, that kind of sent me down this wormhole of, damn, the prophecy really did more damage than good when you look at it to these people individually. Broad scope, yes, good for the universe, bad for the individuals. I was looking at the scene where they're on Tatooine after he kills all the Raiders, and he's talking to Padme, and he's saying like, you know, oh, the carburetor broke. And he was just like, I like fixing things. He was like, I'm good at fixing things. I always have been. And that line kind of fucked me up, because I was thinking, it took me back to episode 1. I was like, here's a kid who is a mech head, built his own pod racer, only human to ever do it. We know that he's a mechanic. We know he likes to fix things. We know he likes to tinker. This is someone who, for his whole life, if there was ever something broken with his own 2 hands, he fixed it. This is the power that he had for himself to be able to do these things in his life. You now take somebody who's used to fixing things themselves and telling them that they're the chosen one, and this man couldn't save his mom. For the first time in his life, he's always been able to fix broken things. You give him all powerful information that he's going to fix the universe, and his mom dies in front of him. Of course, that's going to fuck up his psyche. Of course, he's going to have misplaced anger and be like, damn, it's not my fault. I fix everything that I touch. It must be Obi-Wan's fault. If Obi-Wan would let me do more, I could have saved my mom. So him even going down that whole path of like, oh, I'm going to learn how to stop death. That's that little mechanical boy that's just been fixing robots and cars and speeders his whole life. Oh, if something's broke, I'm really good at fixing things. I'm going to fix it. And now you've implemented his mom dying, and now he future sees his wife dying during childbirth. And he's just like, I've always fixed things. I'm going to fix some shit. And because he couldn't save Shmi, he's like, damn, I lost one. I lost a big one. I'm never letting this happen again. Of course, it's going to drive him the fuck crazy to figure out like, hey, all right, this didn't work. And then Plagueis dangles that, I'm sorry, not Plagueis. Our boy Sheev dangles that carrot like, oh, hey, there is a way to stop death. Here comes that little mechanical boy. Oh, shit. That's the tool that I've needed in my toolbox to be able to fix shit. And it drove him fucking crazy. And it's just like, you know what? I don't blame him, yo. And then it like led me down the path of like, if a prophecy is a preordained situation, couldn't they? I wonder how shit would have played out if they didn't tell Anakin that he was the chosen one and just allowed Obi-Wan to still teach him to be a Jedi, you know, let him take the trials, possibly gain rank of master, whatever the circumstances may be. But I wonder, without that added pressure of being the savior of the universe, piled on top of his, oh, I'm good at fixing things, I always have been, had they not put that out there from the rip, I wonder if that still would have ended him up going down the path of the dark side, which did ultimately end up in him bringing balance to the universe. So the prophecy was eventually fulfilled. But I wonder if just allowing him to just fulfill the prophecy as a prophecy would be fulfilled anyway, because it's preordained, without telling him that it was that he's the chosen one. I wonder if that would like change the dynamic of everything. And that's been my TED Talk.
And that is the end of Real Talk with Rogue One. Amazing breakdown right there. I'm definitely going to be, especially when Anakin throws the wrench and he's like, he's holding me back in Attack of the Clones. I will forever view that in a different perspective. Not that I feel like I didn't understand what was happening, but I think you breaking down the amount of pressure the prophecy put on them will forever change how I think I view that scene in particular. So that's good, man.
Yeah, because
I love this segment.
Thank you,
bring
bro.
more to the table.
Because I got you, bro. Yeah, because it's like you don't really see it in episode 3. Because when could you? Because like literally from the start to the end, Anakin doesn't sit down. Like he's literally doing shit throughout the whole movie, essentially.
Right. And he's the hero that the Republic, like it's almost like the prophecy is fulfilling itself in terms of he might be viewing the Clone Wars as the vehicle to fix things.
Exactly. So I just thought it was something very telling that, after he went and essentially committed a miniature genocide amongst a Tusken village, that his comfort was to go tinker with shit, which his childhood. He's like, when I would want to, I was building a speeder to get away. Like I was building a speeder to race, to get money, to buy my freedom from my mom. That's me using my powers to fix things, to change my life. So, and then he did something, even the part where he was saying to Padme, where she said like, oh, to be angry is to be human. And he was just like, no, I'm a Jedi. I know I'm better than this. It's like, I took that line as a realization. Like he knows he fucked up. Like, damn, I killed women, children, men. I fucked up. This isn't the Jedi way. Like, oh shit. Like, I know I'm better than this. I shouldn't be feeling this anger, this pain. How can I fix it? Man drove himself mad.
And Padme comes in. She's like, what murder? He didn't kill nobody.
What murder? Yo, you know what's crazy though? Super side tangent before you get into episode 2. While stuck in my wormhole of the prophecy of fucked up Obi-Wan and Anakin more than it helped, I had saw someone had put like a Reddit theory, and it kind of blew my mind, where they said Palpatine orchestrated Shmi getting kidnapped by the Raiders to cause Anakin to have to face that hurdle, to push him further.
I feel like that was in a Legends comic at some point. I'll do some digging into that. Let me look into that. Let me look into that. I think that may actually have been pre-existing canon before the new canon.
Yeah, because I had never really thought about that. Because like weirdly, again, the shit that you think about when you're high, I never really like gave it any. I never really gave it any thought as to why the Raiders would have kept Shmi alive, especially like tied up to a fucking pentagon shaped coat rack. I never really gave it any thought as to why they would have kept her alive, especially because like Raiders don't keep hostages, like they just kill. Like, and then Lars even saying like, oh, it's been a month, like she's dead, bro. Like they don't do that. So like for her to have been kept alive long enough for him to find her, to like have that breakdown, for somebody to be like, oh, she orchestrated, the Tuskens knowing when Shmi goes out to go pick mushrooms during the day that she'd be vulnerable. Ayo, go kidnap her. Do not kill her. She needs to stay alive. Y'all can, do what y'all need to do. Speculation abound of what happened to her during that month. But like, don't kill her. I need her to stay alive for Anakin to then find her.
A full, like a bantha with a thing carrying a bunch of those melons from Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, something. But I was just like, when I read that, I was like, damn, I never gave that no thought.
Keep this woman alive for all the melons.
His groceries.
Now, you drink the melon. Okay. Anyways, let's jump into episode 2 of the Acolyte, Revenge/Justice. The Jedi investigation takes them to the planet Olega. May recently attempted to murder Jedi Master Torben at the Olega Temple, seemingly exonerating Osha, as she could not possibly be in two places at once, in Soul's custody and on another planet. May's unsuccessful assassination leads her to her slippery ally Kamir, who creates a poison May can use to take out Torben. She confronts Torben, giving him the opportunity to turn himself in and confess to his crimes or retain forgiveness by consuming the poison willingly. Soul's team arrives moments too late as Osha discovers Torben and the cause of his death. Boone to a powerful poison that is only potent for a short period of time. The Jedi deduce because of that May must be nearby, and that the party responsible for the poison can be pinpointed to one place inside the city. Jackie comes up with a plan for Osha to use her likeness to May to trick Kamir. The plan works, and the Jedi get not only a confession but word of the Master, and are able to use that storefront as a target for their stakeout. As the Jedi wait for May to arrive, Sol and Osha discuss their strained feelings towards each other and what the proper move is to confront May. Yord spots May and Sol battles her, trying to give her an opportunity to pull away from her path of revenge and reveal her master without success. During May's escape, Osha confronts her, but purposely misses her stun blast, allowing May to leave. The Jedi are called back to Coruscant to better plan their attack, even though they know May's next target is the Wookiee Jedi Kelnaka on the planet Kofir. The episode ends with Kelnaka scaring away 2 wayward scavengers on the forest planet as he enters his downed shuttle. I did better that time.
Yeah, I like again, they blended so well together. I kind of all the shit that was happening like in the bazaar, the village, and everything. I kind of mix up which was 1 and 2. But I really enjoyed episode 2. It was very good. With the who was the poison maker? What was his name again?
Kamir.
Do you think that there's like more to him than just like a quirky friend? Because it seemed that he knew a lot. Like when Osha came in to pretend to be May, like he knew who she was. He was like, "You look just like her." Like it was a familiarity already.
I'm not in the business of spoiling other shows, but when I make this comparison, you're not gonna be able to unsee it. Kamira's Hallbrand.
Yeah, give it to me.
Kamira's Hallbrand from Rings of Power.
Ooh, I was getting those vibes too, bro. I was 1000% getting those.
There
vibes
is much more than meets the eye to that character. I don't know why something feels.
No, I'm glad we're on the same
off.
page with that.
Yes, there is a part of me that feels that every single thing he says is calculated to an extent, almost to the point where if the quote unquote Sith Lord with the red lightsaber is the master or the apprentice, it's the master and Kamir's the apprentice, making May the acolyte. That is what I think the tree might be. And after watching the episode multiple times, there are a lot of things I think that point to this. And it's really, part of it is, have you ever played a fighting game where there's like a drunken character who's like super elusive, but like very powerful and like meaningful with like its strikes? I feel like there's absolutely. I think like Dead or Alive like has that. And I think Tekken might have a character like that.
I think Soul Calibur has one too.
Yeah. So there's just that like that element to him where when May confronts him at the end of the episode and he is so quick to turn her around against a wall and have a knife at her throat.
Oh yeah, like real quick. It was like and like beating, and especially you had seen it. She's like super skilled hand to hand combat. Like she beat a Jedi. Even though she had to like cheat a bit. But yeah, like the fact that he like turned that around so quick, I did notice that too. I liked that as well. But that whole brand comparison is amazing. And I'm gonna watch the episode again because like there wasn't anything specifically said, but like the conversations between May and what you said, Kamir with a K, Kamir.
It's with a Q, but it's pronounced Kamir like with a K.
Kamir. All right, gotcha. Cool. Something about the conversation that they had when they were talking about like, when he was making the poison for her, and they were talking about like the master and like the goal and everything. I don't know why, but like it made me feel like there's a bigger following, that it's not just them two and the master. Like it kind of made me feel like there's like this like Inquisitor style group that is formed, and they're just 2 members of it. Like, because when what was the opening? It wasn't a scroller, but didn't it say that there were like several people? Yeah, the opening thing from episode 1. What didn't it say that there were like several people that broke off that learned to use the Force? And it was like
that's
one
a good
became
question.
An assassin. Like,
off the top of my head right now, cannot remember. But it's something we should look into for next week. Maybe we can revisit this. Maybe we'll get more hints. And I'll have to check out that like opening not scroll, but yeah. So it's it's the crawl without being the crawl. It was their way of letting you know what's going on.
I thought
before the story.
I thought it said something about like several Jedis like breaking away to like continue the Force, and like one chose to become an assassin. Like I thought it said like multiple, but I don't know. It just seemed that just their banter between each other. I don't know. It just made me feel like there's more members. Like it seems that like this Dark Lord is like collecting followers. Is what it made me feel like. Like he's like trying to bring people in to overthrow the Jedi.
Oddly enough, I don't really have an opinion on this. I like where your head's at. I think it'll be interesting to see. Just going based off the rule of 2, my first inkling is to be like, I don't think that's the case. But I also think that it's like,
Sith,
why put all...
Would the rule of 2 apply if these aren't technically Sith?
That's a great point. And maybe they aren't, and maybe the dark side users are putting their eggs in multiple baskets, and what comes out of this is the Sith's return, potentially, right? So we'll see. I don't personally think that that's the way it's going to go, but I'm not opposed to that. More enemies, in my opinion, will make the show more compelling. And I also think that we've yet to meet all of our antagonists. I think there's more, especially, I cannot remember her name, but like the head of whatever the witch, like the new like witch people are.
I gotcha.
She is someone who I'm wondering if she's going to be the antagonist of the past storyline, or if she's going to be a through line for both. Because we saw shots in the trailer of a younger Soul, a younger Indara, a younger Torben and Kilnaka. So I do think we're going to get quite a bit of flashback, and we'll see kind of how that plays out. That being said, it's really hard for me to kind of like, I think I'm just like hesitant to break away from like the norm of like, it's like, no, it's probably the rule of 2, like still being acted out with it being so close to the prequels. That's just how I'm kind of feeling about it.
I mean, Kylo Ren had the Knights of Ren that didn't do shit, but he had them.
Hey man, you're not wrong about that. We get some pretty interesting interactions between Osha and Soul. Osha makes a reference to, I guess, like previously, that like a lesson that Soul kept trying to teach her, something that he came to peace with. That is what really brought me to the place where I was like, why did he have to come to peace with it? Because I think if the Jedi failed to save everybody, yes, that would like weigh on their conscience, but the Jedi, I feel like, are unsuccessful a lot of the time, or like the right thing to do by the Jedi code
every time.
Exactly. So what in that instance is making him have a something where he has to come to peace with it? So I think that is really what's making me lean on.
Or even Torben like literally committing suicide after a 10-year Zen nap.
He said to her, "I thought we were doing the right thing," which leads me to believe that it's like they made a call, and it was likely an aggressive one, based off of the context clues that we've gotten from May, that you very well eloquently like pointed out earlier in this episode. Just the way she spoke, the intention of her words, and how she's been handling herself when attempting to murder these masters, I think definitely lends to where things are going. I feel like we've kind of hit the nail on the head here.
Have you seen super throwback, but I feel like the Jake Gyllenhaal Prince of Persia movie?
I have not.
You haven't? Really? It's on Disney Plus. It's a guilty pleasure movie of mine. It's not the best, but I enjoy it. All right, so I can't think of another reference, but I'm sure there's other movies that this has been done in. I wonder if the Jedi, like what happened 10 years ago with Torben saying like, I thought we were doing the right thing. I wonder if the Jedi were possibly given a bad tip that something was happening in the village where May and Osha lived, and they went there to like keep the peace, so to speak. But maybe it was like already a peaceful situation. But like maybe they were told out. So I used the Prince of Persia movie as a reference. So spoiler alert, I guess for you, because you haven't seen it. Like how the main conflict takes place is one of the characters that gets revealed to be not the best of guys later in the movie. For you to watch it, I won't say no names, but he basically says that this very peaceful village has been selling weapons to the Persians' greatest enemy in an attempt to make the Persians go invade and conquer this village, because the knife is in this village, but it's like super well protected. So they curate this lie like, oh shit, this village is selling weapons to our enemy, we need to go put an end to that. And they go and invade, burn the bitch down to the ground, and then they're able to get the knife with the Sands of Times and movie, blah 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 blah. I wonder if shit, I could go super duper conspiracy theory. What if like whoever this Dark Master is put in that bad tip, like to like whatever happened 10 years ago.
He's been pulling strings for this entire thing to play out this way.
Yeah, like what if like the Jedi were given bad information, like, oh, dark side users, or like, oh, slavers or smugglers are like here, and they go there expecting conflict, and these people are like, what are you doing here? Like, no, we're like, we don't know anything that's going on, which escalates and then turns to violence, and then people die, the fire happens and whatnot, what have you. And then maybe they come to find out that there isn't any ne'er-do-wells doing ne'er-do-well in this village, and they kind of just like burn the shit down to the ground altogether. I wonder
and a
if
bunch of innocent people lose their lives in the process. Yeah, that's interesting. I'd welcome a twist like that. You know, it would definitely show fallible Jedi, which I think is something that this show is kind of setting up. So I feel like that could definitely track. There's so many. I feel like there's so many things in the flashback that are. I feel like there's going to be a big flashback episode.
The Torment getting possessed aspect, I feel like adds a whole nother layer to like whatever the fuck happened 10 years ago. Like, so I'm real excited for. I mean, fuck it. I guess we did get a murder mystery. so you know what it is? It's not a murder mystery. It's murder and mystery.
Okay. I'm back on board. we back,
baby. We back. But no, but I love it. Speaking of like notable interactions, so Osha and Soul was great. Torment and May, I really like. That force cylinder or whatever the fuck he was doing, I thought that shit was cool as shit, man. Like, like when he was just like in deep meditation, and then it's like nobody could get in. Like,
it reminded me a lot of.
I thought that shit was so cool.
Grogu on Tython, when he has the big beam of force energy around him and Din can't get to him.
Yeah, 1000%. I thought that was so cool. And then it's just like, obviously acting on a beam, because it just them doing that like in a practical manner, like there obviously isn't anything there, like they're mime pantomiming there being the thing, but it looked super believable to me. I thought it was really great. And then even I love how they played the whole Torment storyline period. Even for him to have, not had very limited screen time and literally just one line. I love how like her first assassination attempt, like, she was talking shit, she was trying to get in and nothing. But then just, like her having the conversation with our guy, and he was just like, oh, like you're the only person that can provide him with absolution, just like give him that. And she was just like, hey, like take this and I'll forgive you. And he's just like, I'm up. I'm up, I'm awake. Forgiveness, please. I thought that was great. And I really, really liked the interaction, or lack thereof interaction, between Osha and May, because they could have low hanging fruited that and played the I thought it was going to be like a passing situation, like May would have been escaping right when Osha got to the end of the hallway and she got outside the gates, and it was just like, oh, May, like type thing. But like the fact that they like connected, literally had like a whole moment. I really enjoyed the choice that even though Osha definitely missed on purpose, her still having, because for me, I took that as she was very upset about the murder. She was just like, oh, like you killed my peoples. Like, and this is somebody like you also have to take into consideration that Osha and May don't have a relationship. They haven't been together since they were kids. They thought each other were dead. So it's just like, yeah, you're my sister, but you murdered my master. like in cold blood. Like, you murdered her, and it's just like, it's beef. like we need to talk. We got some shit that we need to talk about, because I feel like it could have been very easy that they could have just had like, you know, like that moment. They stare at each other. Either they miss each other or they stare at each other. No words are spoken. And then she just like lets May run off. But like for her to like have that moment where she sees her sister for the first time and May acknowledges, she's like, oh, she's just like, oh my God, you are alive.
I'm so glad that I was waiting for you to like get to that point, because it's like the kid nickname thing. Where it's as limited as an interaction as it was played perfectly. Moves the plot forward, is meaningful, and then you add like a person. There's a lot of personality in such a small scene, but it's very important. I think it plays to their relationship. It's going to be a huge factor. If anything, it's the driving force of the show. I think we realize that. But for that interaction to happen and be as short as it was, as meaningful as it was, and as like
very powerful,
plot forward. That's not a word, but like the moving the plot forward.
They don't control us.
Of it, you right. Fuck it, people know what I'm saying. It just feels like it was kind of like the perfect scene. So I really happy that you brought that up. Great points that you were making, and I do think it was just strong, well done, and I'm kind of excited to see and learn more about the relationship, although I'm hesitant to feel that we're gonna get to dive deep into it. Just doesn't feel like it's gonna be maybe as much of a focus as it could be.
Because I love how like Amanda like played the part where it's just like she didn't immediately raise the gun. She like kind of like those, because I feel like there was a moment, that's the first time she's seen her sister in 10 years. They thought each other were dead. That's your twin sister. So I feel like there was that moment like, oh my God, you are alive. I'm not going crazy. I'm not just hallucinating and feeling you. But then like you see the switch and you see her like, oh, the whole reason that I came to find you is because you murdered my master. Like, yeah. And then that's when like the gun slowly raises, and even like her hesitancy to like pull the trigger, and it's just like, even though it was it was set to stun, she wasn't going to kill her. She was just trying to like neutralize her or whatnot, what have you. But just that whole, like you said, it was a perfect scene. Just like it wasn't too quick, it wasn't too long. Like I said, like you saw the oh my God, like you felt that like part of her wanted to go run and give her sister a hug. Like you kind of felt like, it hurt her to stay back. Like it pained her to be like, damn, like I have to bring you in because you out here, you killed two people. You killed two people that I had fond memories with, and you're about to go try to kill a third one. Matter of fact, you killed two I care about. You tried to kill Soul. You're about to go kill the Wookiee, and I don't know like what.
Not to be mentioned that she's been getting blamed for all of it. Right.
Yes, exactly. So it's just like there was like that hesitancy. There was enough of a hesitancy because it's like, oh, like I'm gonna give you this grace because you're my sister, but just know like it's beef. like we got some shit we need to talk about, and I'm very excited to see how that's gonna affect May's psyche, because it's like Osha. I thought that May might have already knew that Osha was alive, and that's how they were connecting through like the Force Dyad, i.e. like Kylo and Ben and Rey. But it seems that May was very surprised that Osha was still alive, and she thought she was dead. She even says to Soul, she's like, "My sister's dead," and she's like, "No, she's not." She's like, "You're lying!" Like she thought that she died in that fire too. So it's just like for Osha, she's known her sister was alive for several days, so she's had time to like process that. It's like, oh, my sister's alive. Yep. Oh shit, she's murdering people that I care about. We need to. She's gone rogue. But for May, it's just like, I thought you were dead. You're not dead. You just shot at me. What the fuck? So I'm very curious to see how that's going to affect her play, because it's like that has to be a roller coaster of emotions for her specifically, because she was just
I agree. I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out. I think it should be really interesting to see how she feels about it.
Do we get a twin fight? Do you think we get a twin lightsaber fight?
I don't think we get a twin lightsaber fight, but I do think they will confront each other at some point. And I think that's where we'll get a lot of the like emotional word vomit while they're fighting. Kind of like an anime fight where there's a lot of talking going on. And
mad exposition.
Yeah.
So the only reason why I asked about the twin lightsaber fight, because I feel like we were robbed of that from Rise of the Skywalker, because we get like that brief flashback sequence between Luke and Leia when Leia was training to be a Jedi, but it's like not really nothing that happens there. I feel like we did get the twin lightsaber fight in Visions in space for some reason, like they can breathe in space. So I feel like Star Wars owes us a live action twin lightsaber fight.
I'll take it for sure. I do, we have a couple things. I want to let you give any sort of closing thoughts you have, but there's one more thing I wanted to bring up about this episode specifically, because I think it stuck the landing a little more than the first one. But the comedic elements of this one, two that I want to point out. Jecki, when her plan is like very obviously so much better than what Yord comes up with, is like it came across like really funny to me, and to, like we said earlier, Daphne Keen's like delivery was just like perfect. She's the only type of character or actress that I think could have like really pulled off something like that. And then I love when they confront Kamir in the apothecary, and he's like, Soul's like, who is he? And then Kamir's like, I thought he was with you.
I thought he was with you.
That shit was perfect.
That was great. You know what part confused me a bit? It was talking about comedic beats. Oh shit! You know what? I'm so sorry. I missed a really important part that I liked a lot from part one. I love how there's a local Jedi temple. I thought that was the coolest shit ever, yo. Because we're just used to the Jedi temple in Coruscant, and that's it. Like, but for them to have like a local branch of like a Jedi temple, just like kind of like in the middle of a town, I thought that was the coolest shit.
That was in the second episode, at the very beginning.
Oh, that was episode 2? Okay.
Yeah. But it reminded me of kind of like Lothal has a temple. And, if you go back to there's temples like kind of like all over the galaxy. Like the temple on Dantooine, the temple on Telos and Knights of the Republic. Like these are all like definitely cool things. I hope we get to explore more of that idea. I agree with you. It was super great to see just kind of like, what's going on? Like the Jedi are stationed.
I like that. I like that like the header even said like local Jedi temple. I thought that was so cool. Right?
And then on top of it, it's like they're like, oh, we didn't think that like what happened here would have warranted like a response from Coruscant. Like as if like it's almost like a local police station like having the FBI show up.
Oh, that's literally how I felt about it too. I was just like, oh, look at this little cool Buddhist temple in this town. Yeah, like I thought it was really cool. But the comedic beat for that episode that left me a bit confused when they had the two Jedi stationed doing basically staking out the apothecary when what was his name again with the Q?
Oh, Kamir.
The Kamir. When him and May run off, the one guy says like, "Oh, he's gone," but it's just like he wasn't in his line of sight originally. So like that kind of confused me that he was just like, he's gone. I was like, he was hiding already. So it was like you like, I was a bit confused as to like that being his reaction to them, like because they were literally hiding in the alley and they just like left that area. And then the Jedi was like, oh, he's gone. It's just like, you never had eyes on him in the first place, to the best of my understanding. But okay. I just thought that was something that was funny. Like that was a little bit misplaced. That was funny. I was like, oh, all right, cool. I didn't know that you knew where he was at. Like, I mean, I guess
was he looking at like was infrared or something, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's that. I guess to like logic it away, if he was in the apothecary and they saw him go in and not come out, that they just kind of was just like, all right, we'll just keep an eye on the door, like type time. But you never saw him come out the front door. How did you know he was gone if you didn't see him in the first? It's not like he was just like standing in the middle of the the fucking town in the middle of the town square, and he's just like, all right, got eyes on him. I was like, yeah, like you were like literally staking out his thing, like waiting for him to like make moves, like just kind of keeping an eye on it. It's just like he was already hidden down the alley. But that's just me being nitpicky like about it. But I was like, all right, that's interesting. Like, cool.
He does get like distracted by somebody for a second, but I hear your point. I think that
that was weird. Like when he turned a little better. Like when he got distracted and came back, he was just like, he's gone. And I was like, you were never looking at him because he was hiding. I was like, what do you mean he's gone? I'm gonna rewatch it again. Maybe he did have eyes on him, but I felt like he was definitely, him and May were like tucked behind the wall, like having that conversation, and they were like peering out. And he was just like, all right, we got to make a break for it now. Like, they
could have cut the scene a little better.
Yeah.
Before we move on to Easter eggs and notable references that I've like compiled, I just want to give you an opportunity to. Is there anything else from these two episodes that you wanted to cover off on before we kind of like hit this and then the outro to the show?
Super hype for Wookiee Jedi. That's gonna be. All right, so this is one point. I'm gonna say that this is 1000% was done intentionally. But there was something really, really, really cool about watching an adult Wookiee do a force pull. Like, we've seen force pulls happen a billion times. It's not nothing new. But just something about like a Wookiee coming in and doing Wookiee rage, typical Wookiee rage vibes, and then it's just like force pull. It's just like, oh shit. I just thought that was like really cool. Like how they played it, I feel like the gravity of that moment was not lost on the director of this episode. They were just like, like we've seen Wookiee Jedis before, different scale, very, very much smaller, way smaller. Yeah, but it's just like having a Wookiee just kind of come lumbering through the forest and then just do Wookiee aggressive shit, and that's scary enough. But then force pulled the gun. I was like, oh shit! Like, and it's just like I knew that was the Wookiee Jedi, but like just seeing it happen just like made it really cool. You know what it felt like to me? It gave me the same childlike giddiness of when Darth Maul ignited the back half of his dual lightsaber.
I feel you.
It was like, oh shit! Like, it's like you already knew from the commercials and the trailer and the toys, and that was like the big thing. Like, oh, double lightsaber, we've never seen that before. So you knew it was coming. But just being in the theater, and then he does the first side, and then the second side is like, oh shit! So just like watching a Wookiee just like do Wookiee shit and then do a force pull, I was like, that was fire. Like, I
love when. And this is like one of the only IPs that I feel like does it, but it brings out that childlike, oh shit, like type feeling. Yeah. And I love that you like had that in that scene. I think the coolest thing about it, in my opinion, was that it's like, okay, yeah, he pulled the blaster over to him with the Force, but when he broke it, that was pure Wookiee strength. It was like, that had nothing to do with the fact that he's a Jedi. So, it was great to see that.
And I love the fact that he has a top knot. Yeah.
Kelnok is going to be fun. I hope that hopefully he doesn't die as quickly as Indara and Torvin did.
she definitely ain't going to be able to kill him without a weapon. So I'm very curious to see how.
Which means that
she's going to try to get that off.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's dive into some of the Easter eggs and notable references here. So, Osha at the Edge is very reminiscent of The Fugitive, starring Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones. It's the movie where he's like, I didn't kill my wife, and Tommy Lee Jones is like, I don't care.
Not you mansplaining The Fugitive. Like, I haven't seen the movie.
Hey, for anyone who hasn't. But it's also not the first time that movie's been referenced in Star Wars. Ahsoka was in a similar position when on the run, attempting to like clear her name in the Clone Wars. And then Nar Shaddaa gets its first live action reference. I'm surprised that it hasn't happened yet, but we haven't seen Nar Shaddaa in like any of the animated shows either. So that was interesting. Karlak was featured in the Clone Wars episode Friends and Enemies, which kind of plays into the whole double name meaning for each episode, which I think is like, I wonder if that was intentional, if it was like, or if just a coincidence, because it's kind of like, the whole revenge justice thing, friends, enemies. Enemies become friends. Everyone's richer for the story.
We're all richer for this journey.
And that we didn't talk about her much, but Venestra Rowe, she was the green-skinned Millyran Jedi.
Green one?
She's one of the only Jedi from the High Republic Publishing Initiative, which launched this era, is still ongoing. Hasn't quite finished up yet, but takes place in the same time period. She's one of the only people from the Publishing Initiative to show up in the series, and she has a very distinct lightsaber. If you've watched commercials, you probably know what I'm talking about, but just in case people are trying to avoid that stuff, I don't want to give anything away. It'll be new to people who haven't been following Star Wars for a very long time, and also it's in canon because she's in those books, but if you're not a book reader, you're going to be seeing it for the first time probably in a couple of weeks, so that's very exciting in my opinion. And then my last thing here, I'm in the middle of a Knights of the Old Republic 2 run on my Switch, and just want to, it's always cool to see elements of that game because it was so big for so many Star Wars fans who were growing up. But a Selkath, which is from the planet Manon in the first Coder game, is like when you're on the water planet. It's the first time we've seen one of those in live action, and it's like a background alien in the Jedi prison. So that was cool to see. That was the last of my Easter eggs and notable references. I'm sure there are plenty more that I missed, but just wanted to call those out. Oh yeah, hit me, buddy.
Yeah, I wouldn't even call it an Easter egg. I just feel like it was a really cool detail. I like how when the Jedi are in the temple, like the fancy temple, they wear their white robes, but then when they're going to travel, they put on the brown robes. Yeah. I thought that was a really cool touch that they had. Like, oh, these are our high priest robes. Like, so we don't go outside in these.
Yeah, while we're on the topic of costume design, I love the Jedi's samurai or ninja-esque gauntlets.
Oh, their sock, and they had the ninja socks too, like with the. Splits.
I have to. I don't think I. Oh, you know what? I did notice that Torben, when he's meditating, his feet are. Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. Okay, that's very cool. I'll have to keep my eye out for more fun stuff like that as we kind of move through the series. The samurai imagery for this version of Jedi's was definitely heavy. Like even their kind of garter belts seemed a lot bigger than what they are. Because I know Obi-Wan kind of has a regular belt around. Yeah, but the height of it as opposed to exactly. much larger. Maybe we can make that a recurring thing where we just kind of bring up costume design throughout each episode because they can the show so far. That has been Annie, Are You Okay?
A Star Wars podcast
coverage of Star Wars The Acolyte episodes 1 and 2. And you can come back here every week for more coverage of Star Wars The Acolyte as the show continues. We will be, I know for a fact that we're bringing executive producer from the Dragon Ball for Life podcast, Yali Perez, back for more fun.
Team 2-Box, baby.
Team 2-Box reuniting. She will be back. I'm sure there may be other opportunities for other guests to pop on. Happy to, be bringing in different voices to Annie, Are You Okay? And freshening things up as we go. Additionally, we will eventually be covering Tales of the Empire with Ray, the Ruiner, my better half. Also want to shoot some shout outs to some friends. I've been watching I will be continuing to watch The Acolyte with a couple of my friends, Matt and Maddie. Thank you so much for coming over and watching the first couple episodes with me, even though I already saw them in the theaters the day before. But shout out to those guys. They're great, and I think the main reception I've gotten from everyone who's seen the show is that it feels like a very refreshing take on this property being removed from the Skywalker saga. And I gotta say, I think that's my favorite thing about it so far, is that it's just a different story with a bunch of different characters that I have no attachment to, so I can form some new attachments. And I'm very excited about that. If you want to form a new attachment in the form of following us on Instagram or Twitter, you can follow us at Annie, Are You Okay Pod. That is the letters ANI, Are You Okay Pod. And you can follow our sister podcast and all of our endeavors on Dragon Ball for Life. On Facebook, you can find us at Dragon Ball, the number 4 Life. And on Instagram and Twitter, you can follow us at DB4L DB_pod. That's the letters DB, the number 4L_pod on Instagram and Twitter, where we're trying to be more active. We are coming up on our 100th episode. The next episode we drop will be our 99th episode, but we got a really fun one coming up. And Matt, I will let you plug or speak about those things before you close things out, but so happy to be back. I know it was not that long of a hiatus, but it felt kind of like a lifetime when you're just as busy as things have been. So just really excited to be talking Star Wars with you, my guy.
Yes. As super producer Mikey, Darth Plagueis, the uninformed for Acolyte, has just said, we have some amazing things coming up on both podcasts. Obviously, Are You Okay? We got great things coming up, a lot of dope content that we are pushing. And like Mikey said, we're going to try to be a lot more social with our social media moving forward. And for DB4L, the sister pod, episode 100 is coming. We have a mega surprise for our 100th episode with a very special dragon call.
They don't know. They don't know.
They don't know. They don't know. Yeah, you know. But no, we're very happy about it. We are silently to y'all, but very loudly for us behind the scenes, plugging away at bringing you guys a lot of dope shit this summer. A lot of really great things are coming up that I'm very excited for. But Animaniacs, it's like we always say here on this podcast, it could be the Acolyte, it could be Large Appetite, it could be some Mike and Ike's. It can't be Ray, but it can be May. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Life can be a beach, but as long as there's no sand, you guessed it, Annie gonna be okay.
Be okay. May the force be with you, Matt.
And with you. Later, nerds.
Deuces.